period of time with no running water and no electricity. And so I have a little experience with that already. But the grocery store and other services were readily available. But when you live like that, everything about your day changes. You have to haul water. You have to chop firewood. I had a spring-fed creek, and I could go down to the spring and fill my water jugs and haul them up to the house. So, the way you live and what becomes important to you changes at some place. But I lived on the reservation for many years, and I saw, even with the simplest thing as a blizzard, elders being stranded with no firewood or no water, or they didn't have enough food, or and I just looked at that and I thought, how can people know that there's a blizzard coming? And not do anything. And I just didn't ever want to be in that situation where I couldn't take care of myself, and I have a child. And the thing that I think is would be the most horrific experience ever is to have to watch your child be hungry or be sick and not have the medical supplies that you needed to do anything about it.
Boy, you're not kidding, Gwen. That's one of my biggest fears, for sure. Now, Gwen, hold that thought. Folks, when we come back, we will continue this fascinating conversation. We got Gwen with us. Tom, Jeanette, stay on the line. We'll take your phone calls when we come back. This is Freedomlink Radio on the Intel Hub News Network.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and family. Now this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years, but the crazy part is he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties, a few years ago. In fact, Baronis called his work a dire prophecy. Now, this has nothing to do with the stock market, but it could have a huge impact on almost every aspect of your life. And recently, he created a video which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica8.com. Although this video may be offensive to some audiences, it's worth checking out. Again, that's www.endofamerica8.com. Watch this free video at www.endofamerica8.com.
Are you still paying your credit cards and so-called bank loans thinking that you owe the money? Do you feel like it's your moral obligation but can't see an end in sight? Well, what if I told you that in truth, you don't owe a single penny, and that the banks know this and hope you don't find out? Here's where we come in. Free2Prosper.com specializes in a profound debt repudiation method which challenges the validity of your so-called debts, morally frees you from the burdens, and protects your property. Our system is often superior to settlement, bankruptcy, or consolidation, which often leave you in a worse situation. If you feel the moral obligation to take care of yourself and your family, then I urge you to consider taking action right now. The economy will not wait. If you want to know more so you can prosper through the economic collapse, all while staying honorable and true to yourself, then call 877-417-8393. That's 877-417-8393. Or visit free2prosper.com right now.
Make sure and listen to the P.A. Monsanto Show every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Intel Hub News
corrupt oppressors, and all oligarchs have seized control of the populations. Total tyranny is amongst us. The burden of humanity rests on our shoulders. The only way out is to expose the global crime syndicate known as the New World Order. Together, we are all one. Together, we are Intel soldiers. The battle for free humanity ensues. Join us in the fight. TheIntelHub.com.
All right, folks, we're back. Again, the number to call, 877-598-8549. The lines have lit up like a Christmas tree, so we will try to get to everybody as quick as possible. But let's get back to the conversation here. Holy moly, even my switchboard just kind of went crazy. We're on the line here with Gwen. And Gwen, are you back?
I am. Thanks.
Okay.
To answer Griff's question too, Joe, I can't even remember what it was, but I had a realization one day that as long as we participated, to the degree that we participated, they controlled us, and they being anybody who is a corporation that I'm dependent on to maintain my standard of living, whether that's the gas company, the phone company, the light company, the insurance company, whatever like that. And I knew that when I looked at my life, they had a hell of a lot more control over my life than I did, and I didn't like it. And I started downsizing, and I did an inventory of everything that I had that I thought would be necessary for survival, and I just put it in piles in my den. And so I had a very clear picture of what I had. And I had a lot more stuff than I even thought I did, but it was just kind of scattered all over. So once I realized what I had to start with, then I started making a list. And everything that didn't go in one of those piles that wasn't food, it got a price tag put on it, and it got drug outside for a yard sale. And then I started buying seeds. I got a chainsaw. I got bar chain oil. I got 2-cycle oil. I got extra stuff for my car, brake fluid, transmission fluid, oil, those kinds of things. I just went down the list and got what I didn't have a little at a time. And I think a lot of the reason that people don't prepare is because they think it's so overwhelming. But I think if they started downsizing and they did an inventory, they would be surprised to see how much they actually had to start with, and then they could just start filling in the gaps. It makes it a lot easier that way. So that's what I wanted to say,
I appreciate it, Gwen, and thank you so much for calling this evening. Griff, it's funny, the perception, even 50 years ago or so, the perception was, the people who were prepared were the people that were sane. They were the ones that it was common knowledge. You prepare for bad things to come. But isn't it funny how yesterday's sanity has become today's insanity, and vice versa? The insane has become the sane. Now it's sane to not prepare. Now it's sane to rely on the federal government. God forbid something happen. Well, FEMA's got our back. I'm good. That's cool.
Yes.
It's so incredibly
Gwen,
interesting.
Gwen was blessed with her life experience to
Yes, she was.
give her the mindset and the experience to know that what we're coming into is real and start preparing. So she was really blessed by God for having that experience.
Yep. Let's go to let's keep the phone lines going here. This is Tom from Georgia. Tom, you're live on the air with us.
Hey, gentlemen. Let me just say I appreciate y'all's work. I thank you so much for your effort. And I agree with Gwen to the extent that people do not believe it's going to happen to them. They go to the grocery store and the grocery store shelves are slam full, and they just don't think bad things are coming. I hit that wall everywhere I go. But the thing I wanted to comment on, y'all were talking about the protest in Egypt and how the elite try to infiltrate it. The same thing happened with the Tea Party here in America. The Tea Party started out in Texas with a bunch of Ron Paul supporters and 9/11 truthers, and if a Republican got on stage, they'd boo him off the stage. And so the Republicans, the media first started demonizing it as a conservative movement, and then the Republicans threw in Palin and Dick Armey and picked up the language, and they've steered the Tea Party away from its original course to being somewhat of a conservative wing of the Republican Party. And in that way, they capture them. And I think the same thing potentially can happen in Egypt.
No, I agree. What do you think, Griff?
Tom, it's good to hear you tonight. You sound
too,
real
Griff.
good over the radio. What do you think is going to happen in Egypt? Do you think it'll spread all over that part of the world? Do you think it'll spread into Europe?
If they put in El Baradei, they've got the same thing they've got now. If the Muslim Brotherhood takes over, then it's going to go very radical, and I think ultimately it'll lead to Daniel's Kings of the South. And ultimately it'll go that way. What the timing is, I don't know, but I'm very concerned that that's the direction that it could take very quickly. In terms of it spreading, yeah, it's spread to Egypt, and this is just the next stop.
And whoever controls the Suez waterway controls much of the world monetarily.
Well, when the oil crisis started back in 2007, 2008, I remember the gentleman Lynn Hofmeister, I can't remember his name, but he was a former oil exec, and he made the comment that if 4%, we would take a 4% disruption in the oil flow into this country, and it would shut this country down. The Suez Canal represents much more than that. So, yeah, if they can shut down that Suez Canal, it's going to be a different day for America.
Yeah. Well, Tom, how are you doing on your preparation?
I don't know that I can ever catch up because I started so late. I really just came into the true wake up of what's going on probably Easter of last year. But you and I have talked about this off air, Griff. If I hunker down and bunker up here in Georgia, I might have to leave. So I've got.
You're about
food,
100 miles inland from the Gulf, I understand, aren't you?
That's right. I've got food, I've got water, I've done some financial preparations and things like that, but if I have to leave, what good does that do?
Most of the people that are in the know still believe the oil is still coming out of the floor of the Gulf, and eventually it'll be mandatory for the people to evacuate one way or another.
It's not a spill. A spill is when you tip your glass and it spills on the table. This is a flow. They've fractured the crust of the earth, and it is literally flowing out. Of course, they're throwing correctors. Yeah, they're throwing correctors in it as quickly as they can, and they're sinking it and keeping it on the bottom. They're creating a huge dead zone, which soon will engulf the whole Gulf. But eventually that's going to come to the top, or there's going to be some kind of hurricane that comes through that stirs up the water, or, God forbid, the New Madrid fault line will go.
Yeah, isn't it interesting that the NLE, the National Level Exercise 2011, all centers around the New Madrid fault?
I think you gentlemen, you might have talked about it last week about the order for body bags and food and blankets that FEMA has put out.
Sure.
They're preparing for something.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. And everything is readily available. That's the interesting thing about all of these exercises and all of this preparation that you see underway, all of it is public information. If you have any questions, call FEMA. Ask them. They'll tell you. They'll tell you what they're doing. They don't